William Stephenson, the Canadian-born head of MI5 and MI6 North America. Codename Intrepid.
It's important to understand the present position. The Vichy government in France is a little short on love for Great Britain right now. Whatever the motivation, you can see their point of view. They know what it's like to have a large part of their country occupied by Hitler's Germany. They want Britain to know what it's like, too. Thank you. And their embassy here in Washington going hell for leather to achieve this. It operates a secret police force based on the Gestapo model. The main object, to keep the United States out of the war. Method, propaganda, espionage, sabotage, assassination. Keep the latter point in mind because it may concern you. London wants all correspondence, personal letters and plain text cables between the Vichy French embassy and Europe.
Oh, they don't want much.
If you're scared and want out.
I don't want out.
Good. So, what do you want to know?
Nothing. The less I know, the better. You know how it is. A man and a woman making love. Afterwards, when they're at peace and relaxed, they talk. They both talk. And trained, tight-mouthed professionals give away secrets.
Fortunately.
And I'm not even a professional.
After her defeat in June 1940, France was split in two. Northern France was occupied and became a German province. In Paris, German troops drank in the cafes, strolled in the boulevards. The southern half of the country was unoccupied, and a supposedly neutral government was set up at Vichy. France was out of the war. In spite of this, in July 1940, fearing the French fleet might fall into German hands, the Royal Navy attacked their former allies at Oran and Mers el-Kebir and immobilized it. At Vichy, the aged Marshal Pétain, hero of the First World War and head of state, entered into a reluctant collaboration with Hitler in order to preserve France from further destruction. His vice premier, Pierre Laval, a devious man with a passion for intrigue, collaborated enthusiastically. The Vichy French embassy in Washington, D.C. became a center of political intrigue. In May 1941, Amy Elizabeth Thorpe, codenamed Cynthia, had an appointment to see the ambassador, Monsieur Gaston-Henri A.
I have an appointment to see the ambassador.
The name, madame?
Elizabeth Thorpe.
Cynthia had obtained her appointment with the ambassador on the basis that she was a journalist, contributing to a number of American newspapers.
Miss Thorpe.
Yes.
Captain Charles Bruce, press attaché to the embassy. I must apologize. The ambassador has been slightly detained.
That's quite all right.
Perhaps you would care to come into my office.
Cynthia was born in Minneapolis, USA. Her father was an officer in the Marine Corps. In 1930, she married a British diplomat. They were totally incompatible. While he was attached to the British embassy in Poland, she made opportunities to collect information, which she passed to British intelligence. Some of this contributed to the breaking of the German Enigma code, which was to have an incalculable effect on the course of the war. By 1940, Intrepid had set her up in America as a secret agent. Her cover story was that she had Irish blood and little sympathy for Britain. But it was clear to her that Captain Bruce had been detailed to screen her before she met the ambassador.
Thank you.
Stop. I understood you were American.
I still am.
You have a British passport.
My husband is British.
Ah.
But we're separated, so I use my maiden name.
No children.
A son. But I haven't been allowed to see him since he was an infant.
That's sad. So you also have personal reasons for being out of sympathy with the British.
Perhaps.
For my part, I have mixed feelings. I served with the Anglo-French intelligence board before France fell. I found the British agreeable to work with. But afterwards, the attacks on the French fleet at Oran and Mers el-Kébir, unforgivable.
Would you have felt differently if the British hadn't attacked your fleet?
I don't know. But as it is, I am for Vichy.
In spite of Monsieur Laval.
Monsieur Laval is not Vichy, not yet. Vichy is Marshal Pétain. Allez. Merci. Ambassador will see us now. I must warn you, he's had a very disagreeable interview with the American Secretary of State. He may not be in the best of humors.
Sometimes I cannot stand this vulgarity of the Americans. They have no manners. They are uncivilized. They do not comprehend the subtleties of the European mind.
Miss Thorpe is American.
Miss Thorpe is a delightful exception. Secretary of State Cordell Hull is not. At our meeting this morning, he was excessively impolite to me.
To you, Ambassador?
To me. Do you know what he said? He accused me of pursuing the interests of Vichy with too much enthusiasm. Who does he think I represent? Germany? You are American, Miss Thorpe, but I understand you have lived in France. You have been exposed to French culture. You will appreciate the sophistication of Vichy policy. It is not collaboration, it is survival.
Many Americans will understand that point of view. Not only Irish Americans.
I believe so. And they must be reminded of it.
That's why I'm here.
Well, I should be very happy to give you as much information and as much of my time as possible.
You're very kind. But you must also be very busy.
Fortunately, I have a clear understanding of the ambassador's views.
Well, then perhaps...
I should be very willing to brief Miss Thorpe.
No doubt.
Is it true that his father was a butcher?
Whose father?
Laval's.
Quite possibly. How long are you going to be in Washington?
Indefinitely. I shall have to go to New York shopping and so on, but otherwise I'll be here for quite some time.
Good. So perhaps we can meet now and again.
That would be nice.
What are your plans for later tonight?
Why?
So I don't want it to end too soon.
Bruce was well aware of the security risk involved in his present situation. Cynthia was aware that all she required was time. But time was scarce.
Do you talk in your sleep?
No, I don't. I was too well trained.
Supplies and munitions were beginning to flow from America to Britain under the new Lend-Lease agreement. But the U-boats, hunting in packs, were creating havoc on the Atlantic routes. Shipping losses were becoming critical. Intrepid was convinced that information about the movement of convoys was being passed to the German naval authorities through the Vichy embassy.
Naturally, we shall continue to give your society as much support. Entrez. Charles.
In July, Captain Bruce was called to Ambassador Henriet's room.
Vous devriez lire ceci, cela vous concerne. As much support as my government considers practical. Yours sincerely. Yes, we will continue with the letters in a moment. Charles, Vichy has ordered me to cut down my staff, and your post, unfortunately, has been abolished.
Might you return to France?
Why not? You are a good Vichy man.
I don't like the idea all the same. What do I do in France? Join some ship lying immobilized and rotting at Toulon or Dakar or Ferryville. I'd be more use here.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with you, Charles.
Why can't I stay?
Because there is no position for you on my payroll. Unless, of course... listen, Charles. I can perhaps lay my hand on a small private sum of money, so I could keep you here on half pay. How would you like that?
Half pay. in Washington. I have a wife to keep and other expenses. No, I can't.
I'm sorry, that is all I can do. Half pay